Hey everyone, talking about 5 factors that make a fragrance full bottle worthy for me, along with 5 factors that are generally considered relevant in the fragrant community, but I personally don't care about. So, again, this is just my taste, not telling everybody what you should consider, but after trying thousands of fragrances with only 20 being full bottle worthy for me, I feel like I've really gotten into a groove, and I know when I first started trying fragrances, I had a lot more bottles and a lot of cheapies and just stuff like, and it just was too much. I wasn't wearing them, so I really wanted to only have ones that I truly, truly love and not just have a collection for the sake of it. Do you if you want to have a big collection by all means, but if you're kind of deciding, how do I decide what to keep or discard or like where do I draw the line? This is what has worked pretty well for me. One, this is going to sound ridiculous, but it has to smell good, period. And what I mean by that is it has to smell good on a test strip. It has to smell good in the air, on my clothes, from the nozzle, basically. For me, I don't want a fragrance that only comes to life when it's on my skin. Obviously, most of them are going to be much better on the skin than they really do come to life and they project more and all this kind of stuff. But I want it to be able to wear on my clothes. Sometimes I like to just take off the cap and smell a fragrance that I love. I don't want something where it's only going to work on my skin. So if that's the case, that's just not for me. Again, then what if some of it gets on my shirt when I'm spraying and I don't like the smell of it? No, that doesn't work for me. Two, I need to have a visceral reaction when smelling it. And I totally recognize not everybody feels the need for this, but I basically need my eyes to roll back in my head when I smell it, just like uncontrollably, like, fuck, that smells so good. There are so many fragrances that I think smell good, smell great even, but given that there are some out there that really give me that reaction, that's what I want. That's what I want to wear. That's what I want to be able to just smell at home and choose between. So there's enough that I can still choose between. It's not like there's only 1 or 2 fragrances ever that cause that for me. So it's kind of like if I can stick to that and really love everything that much, and that's just how I am about a lot of things. So not everyone has to be like that, but I only want to have ones that I just absolutely obsessively love. 3, I need to like the opening, mid, and dry down, which may sound really obvious, like duh, but a lot of people, and again, this is fine if you're one of them, they're fine with it. They don't like an opening. I see this all the time on Fragrantica or people I talk to in the fragrance community, like, oh yeah, no, it's gross for the first 30 minutes, but then it becomes so beautiful in the dry down. And it's just like, I don't want to have to time that. First of all, I want to feel joy from the moment that I spray that fragrance or smell it. Just like, yeah, I don't want to start with like, ugh, and then time it like if you have a friend coming over some date or something and it's like, wait, I better spray this 30 minutes exactly before, like, oh my god, they got here early, what do I do? Like, I want to like the whole experience. I would rather have one where I like the opening and don't like the dry down, because one of my videos is 5 fragrances to wear before getting in the shower. There are certain times where you can still enjoy a fragrance if you just like the opening, but in general I need to like the opening, mid, and dry down, and I absolutely need to like the opening. If I don't, that's just a total deal breaker. It can get better. Maybe I love the opening and I like it even more in the dry down, but I can't dislike any of those phases for it to be full bottle worthy for me. 4, it can't be too identical to a fragrance that I already have a full bottle of. And this rule could get broken if I have that visceral reaction and it passes all the other tests and it is pretty similar. But in general, I like to have a go-to of each sort of something that gives me that specific vibe or feeling or weather combined with mood and things like that. I don't want to have 50 fragrances to choose from when I'm in whatever kind of mood on a cold day and this and that. Like, I want to have my like go-tos that are just cozy for that type of mood or for whatever I'm feeling. So if there's another one where I really, really like it, but it's just like, well, this is so similar to one I already have, chances are I don't want an extra bottle of that. Also, just from like Marie Kondo tidying up type of thing, if anybody's familiar with the condo stuff of like not having so many possessions that take up so much space, it can actually become stressful to like, I don't ever want my fragrance situation to be stressful where I'm like, I don't know what to choose, I don't know where to store these or anything like that. So that helps with that aspect. And 5, this is really going to sound silly, but actually this is the number 1 most important factor to me, that it has to pass this test. Even if it passes all of the others above, if it doesn't pass this test, it's not making it to my full bottle shelf. I have to almost feel like I have like a crush on the fragrance and can't stop thinking about it, in the sense of, I try so many things and often it's like, oh yeah, that smells good. If it's going to end up being full bottle worthy for me, and this has been true every single time, even though I always convince myself like, no, I'll give it more tries, yeah, no, I really like that. I really like that. I think it might be full bottle. No, it's not unless it's like I'm falling asleep in bed that night and I'm just my heart's beating faster. Like, oh my god, I can't wait to smell that again tomorrow. I can't wait to try that out again tomorrow, and just thinking about it with just like this major excitement and feeling like I just have to try wearing it again. Especially when you first find something and that's your first exposure to it. And just like, oh my god, and I love all my current ones, but it's like, okay, I'm used to spraying them. It wouldn't be as exciting every single time as when you first find that new one. So yeah, I have to just be like attached to it uncontrollably, basically, and just thinking about it and yeah, having a crush on the fragrance in a non-romantic way, basically. And so now we're on to 5 things that don't factor in for me personally. I am absolutely not telling anybody else that you shouldn't care about these or like, oh, only lames care about these. Like, no, this is just my personal experience. One, this already sounds so snobby, but price. Okay, let me say right away, because I'm talking about full bottle worthy, but I mean that in kind of a metaphor way. Like, if it was too expensive for me to own, I would rather have a 10 milliliter decant of something that I feel the above way about than have a full bottle of something that I just really, really like versus like absolute love. So, say I have a certain budget to spend and I could either get a decant of, yes, just like the holy grail one that I love so much and have to use it more sparingly, or get a big one of ones like, yeah, I really like, but it's not at quite that level. I would definitely choose the smaller one. 2, longevity. To me, above all, the scent is what matters. Granted, obviously, there's a couple things that can play into like a privilege related to that, but like I work from home, so I can easily respray. I'm not, in a construction site or office environment or something where you might not really be able to respray, and it's a big deal if what's the point if you kind of lose your longevity. But for me, that's not a factor. What I care most about is just that it smells good, and I'll respray if I need to. Next, projection. I personally don't want all my fragrances to have major projection, because some of them I do. Like if I'm going out and I want to be, smelled or whatever, or just like I want to feel like confident in being around people and I want them to smell it. And of course I want to be able to smell it myself, but some of them have so much projection that is just distracting, headachy to me. I don't want 12 hours in a row of this just like floating around me. That I want to be left wanting more by both the longevity and projection in a way. Not like I want it to be terrible, but like I don't want it to be so extreme that it's like, okay already. So for me, I don't care about projection. I would not want to have no fragrances that had good projection, but I have my go-tos. I know what they are. If I want something with good projection, I'm in the mood for that. And I have other ones where I'm actually glad, like, okay, I just want to wear this, have a chill day, I really like it, I'll still be able to smell it. It's not like it has no projection at all, but it doesn't need to have 6 feet, anything like that. For this, again, we're still in the list of what doesn't factor in: the ability to wear it in public. I wouldn't want to have no fragrances that I feel like I could wear in public. Absolutely not. I'm not that cool by any means. Like, I will fully admit that. There are certain ones I really want to be able to wear in public, and I want to feel cool and confident and have people smell me. But that's not a deal breaker now that I do at least have some already that fit that bill. There are certain ones like Zoologist Tyrannosaurus Rex I would never wear in public. I mean, I don't think I have the guts, first of all. Second, that would just be rude. Like, that is so toxic and extreme. Third, I've kind of like one of the not having the guts thing. I would be embarrassed. Like, that's just so toxic and like, whoa, just no. So, but that's not a deal breaker for me. If I like the scent and I can just wear it at home, or even if I can just smell it on the bottle, I don't even need to be able to wear it technically for it to be full bottle worthy for me. It's very rare that anything would be that's not wearable, but Zoologist Tyrannosaurus Rex, I really don't see myself wearing that much. But that just, when I smell it, for some reason, it's really nostalgic to me. It reminds me of certain things, of certain places, which sounds weird based on an apocalyptic fragrance, but I can just get so much enjoyment out of just uncapping it and smelling it, and I love to do that all the time. I don't need to wear it. I wouldn't want to have no fragrances that I can wear, but the scent is what I'm chasing, and that's what I want above all, is just this amazing scent. Lastly, I don't really care, at least not enough to factor this, whether it's natural or synthetic. I'll totally, maybe that sounds hypocritical because in some videos I'll be like, and it's 100% natural, oh cool. Like, that's great, but I don't care in terms of, that's not going to factor in whatsoever to the fragrance being full bottle worthy for me. only the scent and the other items that I mentioned earlier. Not That's just like a bonus if it is like, okay, cool, that's great. But if something could be completely synthetic in every single way, if I really love the scent, okay, I'm buying it. It doesn't have to be natural. And yeah, these are my factors. Again, not saying that everybody should feel this way, but I do really like the system that I've developed. As mentioned, when I first got into fragrance, I did a lot of blind buys of cheapies. And I would always, it also like you just convince yourself kind of that you like, or at least I did it, I'm not saying everybody does, that you like something more than you maybe do when you already bought it and you hadn't smelled it yet. And just like there's so many factors that I love having a really kind of strict guide to what's full bottle worthy for me, and just knowing that I'm not convincing myself, I'm really going to smell it and or wear it and whatever. If I get it, it's not going to be a waste of money. That's the other thing too. Like, some people are like, oh my God, that's such an expensive fragrance. How can you buy that? And then you look at their collection and they have so many fragrances. Yes, they're mostly under $100, but that adds up to way more than a few, expensive niche ones or whatever. So yeah, if you have kind of different factors that are maybe unique or something about what you consider full bottle worthy, I would love to know. Feel free to chime in. But yeah, these are just my personal factors, and it's worked out for me so far.